Hey there, Ben.
Hey, Sarah. I didn't realize I would be the first one, but here I am.
Oh, no worries. You are always a punctual one, which I
Thank you.
appreciate.
Thank you.
I just got us live on our streaming service, so
Perfect.
our
I just saw your
conversation is being streamed, but we can have fun. So,
perfect. I just saw your email response, so thank you for that.
yes, of course, constituents are always welcome.
How are
How
you
you
doing?
doing?
Hmm?
How you doing?
Oh, I just asked you the same thing. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Today's been a bit of a long day since
Yeah.
I went to the early mass, the 6 a.m. mass at the Basilica. So,
Oh, goodness gracious, what was behind
yes,
that decision?
I was reading. I was asked to read at that mass. So,
That's very cool.
yes. So it was a good experience. A bit surreal walking around this morning. All of the trees covered in frozen fog. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. Really
Yeah.
beautiful though. I loved when I woke
Yeah.
up and saw the frost-covered trees.
Yeah, I agree. It's been very pretty these last few days for sure.
What was the attendance like at that mass? That must have been an interesting experience too.
Yeah, it was spotty leading up to it, but then the number of people showed up in the 5 minutes leading up to 6 o'clock. So
Very
it's good.
cool.
It's pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Natalie. Ben and I are just discussing. Oh, Aaron says, FYI, you and Ben are live. I will say, we know. um, um, we were discussing how Ben went to 6 a.m. mass. He was a lector. So good stuff.
What time did you wake up to go to mass?
Earlier than I wanted to. No, I'm just kidding. I had to wake up about 5 a.m. just after 5 a.m. So yeah,
I
bit of a
respect.
long day. That's all right.
Yeah, the only positive thing about Zoom Senate is that I'm going to go to Walsh Mass afterwards, which is at 9:30. So instead of sprinting, I just from Jordan, I can just walk downstairs.
Yep.
Awesome.
How you doing, Natalie?
I'm good. Almost out of isolation. So
Yay.
very excited. I actually had a question.
Yeah, what's up?
When I get out, how can I pick up the Senate sweater now that we're online?
Yes, great question. I've had people texting me that. Basically, Karen still has them in her car, which is perfectly fine. Once she gets them back to the StuGov office, she'll probably put them in the class council office and you can get one.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Well, very excited to have you back. Honestly, probably best 2 weeks to be in, I guess, with how cold it's been, but I know you'd prefer to be out in the world. So, oh, looks like Dan's got a Woodstock poster. Oh, he's still connecting to audio. That's okay. What's the first thing you're going to do when you get out, Natalie?
I'm not sure yet. I'm just very excited to see people, maybe hug my roommate for the first time in 10 days. So very excited. Yeah.
Good deal. Dan, you've got a nice setup there. Oh, he turned off his camera. Now I can't see his nice setup. That's okay. Ben, how popular are the lofts in Keo?
They're popular. Yeah, pretty much every guy in Keo has their bed situated like this. It's nice to have a desk just immediately under. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I did lofted situation my sophomore year too. Just gives you room for a futon, which is nice.
Yeah, it does give more space for sure.
Ben, I've told you my fun fact before that I lived in Keo for 2 weeks, right?
I feel like you've mentioned it, but I'm forgetting the circumstances under which you were in Keo.
Mairead. Oh my gosh. Hello, Mairead. Mairead also has this same fun fact.
I think that applies to me. I lived in Keo for 2 weeks. That's a good fun fact.
Isn't it a great fun fact? Mairead and I actually met when we were like 16. We did the Notre Dame leadership seminars together. And Mairead, do you want to explain the dorm situation?
Yeah, sorry. Just a couple of adorable nerds going to leadership camp. Yeah, but basically they put us in, I don't even know why they did this still, but they put the girls at the seminar in the boys' dorm, Keo, and then they put the boys in Welsh fam.
And we were all so confused. My hunch is that it was a mistake, but then we all just moved in, and so they kind of just went with it.
I kind of agree. It didn't make any sense at all. We were like, okay, like I guess we'll just, I don't know. The dorms aren't that different, but like the bathrooms were men's bathrooms, and we were like,
Yeah.
unnecessary to be in this.
I think they put like flowers in the urinals or something.
Yeah.
To, like just make it more palatable. But yeah,
I may be biased, but Keo's a nice place to live in. So
yeah, it was nice. They tricked us into thinking that all the dorms would be that nice, I guess.
I know. I did appreciate the air conditioning that summer, and then I moved into Walsh, which is the best, but no air conditioning. Were we in the same section? I forget. I think I was in like 3A.
I don't think so, because we were in different sections of the seminar. Like I was in the science one, you were in like the arts one, so I think we were in different areas.
Ben, what section are you in?
I'm up in 4B.
Okay, alas, I don't
Top
think we
floor.
ever met up there. Very nice penthouse.
Love. Yep, up on the penthouse.
Okay, good. Looks like more folks are coming on in. Good to see people's faces. Sam and Kurt, you guys are twinning with the hood. I like to see it. Very cozy. Perks of Zoom Senate. Great look, Sam. Great. Oh, yes. Izzy's got her comfy on. Love. We're just going all out.
Sarah, that is an excellent lamp right next to you.
Thank you. I actually have another one in my closet. I love it so much. It like dims too, which is nice, like set the mood. So
is the closet lamp like a backup lamp, or do you use it when you're picking out your outfit?
no, I do use it to illuminate my clothing. It gets dark in there, you know, it's like its own little separate room. So
Really? Sometimes you wonder if there's another world on the side sometimes.
Sometimes you do. I did not I had the same room my freshman year, Sam, but it was a double. And I had these like little like light up things that illuminated my closet, but I figured that like I'm a grown up now. I need to have a real lamp. So. Okay, cool. Now that all 46 of us have heard me speak about my lamp, I think we're ready to get it going. So without further ado, I will hand it over to the lovely Blake to lead us in prayer on this Ash Wednesday.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear God, we thank you for our opportunity to serve our ladies' entrusted community. May we, members of the Student Senate, be servants of hope and instruments of great change. May we listen and lead with humility, kindness, courage, and love. May we develop a community that inspires all to engage in our daily vocation to be the truest brothers and sisters we can be. Through our dedication, may we call this community our family and this university our home. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Blake. Really appreciate it. We will hand it over to Catherine to do a quick roll call.
Awesome. Hey, guys. Okay, Dan Baudendistel.
Here.
Isabella Garcia.
Here.
Daniel Schermerhorn.
Here.
Awesome. Sarah Kirsch.
Here.
Dan Law.
Here.
Anoop Sankara.
Here.
Michael Murakami.
Here.
Jordan Leiden.
Here.
Niels Casperson.
Here.
Maggie Allen.
Here.
Eliza Smith. Henry Jackson.
Here.
Benjamin Earhart.
Present.
Jason Thomas.
Here.
Natalie Ortega.
Here.
Molly Schott.
Here.
Lainey Teeters.
Here.
Ahmed Al-Hassani.
Here.
Alec Brayler.
Here.
Bianca Burnett.
Here.
Carson Thompson. Libby Messman,
Here.
Anisha Japura, Michael Lynch,
Here.
Miles Kelly,
Here.
Alex Kobolowski,
Here.
Patrick Lee,
Here.
Grace Franco,
Here.
Teresa Salazar,
Here.
Henry Bates,
Here.
Blake Johnson,
Here.
Johnny O'Meara,
Here.
Renee Pearson,
Here.
Jordan Therault,
Here.
Sam Canova,
Here.
Ricardo Poses Garza,
Hi, everyone.
Connor Delaney,
Here.
Rachel Engel,
Here.
Madison Nemeth,
Here.
Aaron Benavides,
Here.
Grace Stevenson,
Here.
Mairead Fash,
Here.
Julia Ord-Kurt, Thomas Davis.
I'm here. I couldn't unmute.
Okay, perfect. I got you, Kurt.
I'm also here.
Awesome. Esteban Linares.
Here, I'm subbing in.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And Karen Kennedy.
Here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Sweet. Thanks, Catherine. I love the sound of your voice in those headphones, by the way. It sounds like you're right here. So very nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Could you keep us going and give us a brief recap of last week's meeting?
Definitely. So last week, we passed Order 2021-18 to suspend vacancy elections in Keogh Hall and Johnson Family Hall, as well as Senate Order 2021-19 in order to gauge undergraduate student opinion on Article, I'm really bad with Roman numerals, XIV, Section 1A of the Constitution by referendum. And then Eliza Smith was sworn in as the Johnson Family Hall Senator. And then I believe was our conversation about the Judicial Council and the petitioning for the student body president and vice president ticket.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Catherine. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns on those minutes which were sent out? Alrighty then, seeing none, minutes from last week are approved. Thank you, Catherine. And we can move on to executive announcements, of which I linked one this morning upon the recommendation of Karen Kennedy. If you folks saw, there was a call for nominations for the 2020-2021 Student Leadership Awards. I linked a little PDF. I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, this is only for seniors in terms of undergrads?
Yep, correct. For undergraduates, it's for seniors, and there's also post-bac students. And all I would say is that every year, winning nominations do come from students for their fellow students. So I would strongly encourage, if you have people to nominate them. Your nominations matter as much as if it's a faculty or staff member. So I would just encourage you to consider doing that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Karen. Yeah, so if you have anyone in mind that you'd like to nominate for that, you can feel more than free to do so. The form is right there, but I believe you've got quite a while on it. I don't think it's due until mid-March. So you can just let that percolate. The Ides of March is when it's due. So easy way to remember. Okay, so that is exciting, as well as we've got Walk the Walk Week next week. I know the announcement today was unfortunate on a number of levels, particularly for student programming, but we're really confident that the university is going to adapt well and able to have a really successful Walk the Walk week next week, despite the circumstances. I know on the student government front, we're really excited to partner with campus ministry to have a Black History Month Mass/prayer service. Still adapting because of these new circumstances, but we're really excited to partner with campus ministry on that endeavor. And we also have a student advisory group meeting for campus reopening next Wednesday morning. So I'd encourage you to reach out to us with any questions, comments, concerns you may have, particularly about this new environment. I'm sure things will be different in a week. It seems like every week in these COVID semesters is just a little bit different. We just kind of constantly have to be on our toes and flexible, resilient, and adapting. But if you have a question now, if you have a question next Tuesday night before the meeting, feel free to send that to me, Rachel, Aaron, Sam Canova. We'd be happy to bring that to the table and discuss with the admin your thoughts at this moment in this crazy COVID world that we continue to exist in. I believe that's all in terms of the executive announcements front. So I can hand it back over to Blake, as well as Connor and Rachel, the great off-campus council officers. And this presentation is going to be great, particularly for you sophomores and juniors who may become a part of the off-campus community in the next few years and want to continue to have a substantial student leadership role. I think these three folks have just done an exemplary job this year, and I'll hand it over to them. Oh, I'll also let you share screen.
Awesome. Blake, I have the presentation up here. Do you want me to run the slideshow?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Thanks, Connor.
Yep. So let me share that. Okay, can everyone see that okay? Awesome, so I'll start us off. Hi everyone, thanks for giving us your time tonight to talk about what we've been doing all year. We are off-campus council. We wanted to talk to you tonight. We found that when we were on campus, there wasn't a lot of talk about off-campus council, and it was something that we hadn't really heard about until we did move off campus this semester. So we thought, really it's just going to be great to get the word out a little bit, and especially get these leadership minds focused on off-campus council for the future of what off-campus council could be and what it seems to be growing into based off this year. Off-campus council is particularly important in these times. It starts with this message of unity. We are one Notre Dame. We are one Notre Dame family. But we realize that in recent years, there has been sort of a difference in how on-campus students and off-campus students are treated. Sometimes these differences are not necessary and not often pleasant. So, to start off, not only are our off-campus students stuck with Blake and I, that should be bad enough to represent them as a joke. But the reality is there's just more students per representative in the Senate. So it's sometimes harder for those off-campus voices to find their way to student government. Something I'm also thinking about, we've heard a lot about how COVID and the whole pandemic has really illuminated and exacerbated a number of different issues. I think the divide between on-campus and off-campus people is one of those issues. We've seen different access to resources at different times. And we've seen some of the blaming rhetoric whenever we talk to students off campus about what some of their issues are. A lot of it is often just about the rhetoric of people really didn't like at the beginning of the semester when it felt like off-campus students were being blamed for the COVID situation in a major way. But even before COVID, there were some measures going on where off-campus students were just sort of being excluded. Some of you will remember like the senior exclusion policies. And the aim of those, and I believe they're in place now, was to try and keep off-campus students excluded from some dorm events like SYRs, like the dorm formals and dorm sports. We as an off-campus council think that those communities that we form in the dorms and those relationships should be extended into the time when a student lives off campus. And again, something before COVID was just the dorm access policies where you had to swipe in. We again see that as somewhat of a restriction to accessing those resources, those relationships, and those communities that we made on campus. so there's a lot of policy aims there is the point of that last slide. Moving along just kind of into an overview of what we as off-campus council have done and what we've actually had so much fun doing all year this year, even in this crazy year. Basically, we have two aims. One is to obviously represent the students here with you in the Senate and with student government at large. Another aim is to put on events and just promote the well-being of students. So at times it feels like a hall president where a lot of what we're doing is programming and thinking like that, with also that sort of policy-minded side as well. Again, the makeup is myself, Connor Delaney, Blake, and Rachel, and they'll be speaking. And we do have an advisor, the wonderful Leah Kaczynski. So to introduce myself, again, I'm Connor Delaney. I'm the president. I have a few roles as off-campus president. Of course, my favorite one is here with you all, my friends, in the Senate. Other roles, there's a number of sort of different boards and committees that I sit on. One being the Financial Management Board, who I submit a budget to every year, who the off-campus president submits a budget to every year, and sits in on all of those meetings. This year particularly, we've had a couple different task forces, some with mostly administration, some with administration and a group of around 25 of our peers, just to talk about what life is like in this particular year. And also just to kind of look inward at the council itself and maintain those bylaws, and make sure that we have a representative on the Student Union Ethics Committee and some housekeeping things like that. So with that, I will turn it over to Rachel Sabnani, our vice president.
Thanks, Con. Thank you all for having us. My name is Rachel. I was elected on the same ticket as Connor. He's one of my good friends. And I sit on the Department of Community Engagement and Outreach within student government. I help Connor manage our team of 10 ambassadors, and I'm also on the Off-Campus Student Advisory Council, which Connor mentioned, which is a group of administration and off-campus students, and it's mainly aimed at keeping students out of trouble and stopping the spread of COVID-19. So Connor and I meet with the administration every week, and then we also meet with a larger group of students to talk about the issues specifically facing off-campus.
So I'm Blake Johnson. I'm the off-campus senator, kind of the third member of that executive team. I'm elected on a separate ticket as Rachel and Connor. So one duty is I'm a voting member of Student Senate, just like Connor. But as off-campus senator, I'm also automatically a member of the Campus Life Council. On top of that, I serve on the Off-Campus Student Advisory Council, like Connor and Rachel were talking about. Just like all the other senators, I have to serve on an executive cabinet department. And at least one member of off-campus council has to serve on the Student Union Ethics Commission. This year, it happens to be me that serves on it. But it can also be an off-campus council ambassador that serves on that ethics commission. So to round out, there's the president, the vice president, the senator, and then there's off-campus council ambassadors. So these are pretty much selected by Connor or the off-campus president. It's a minimum of 6 ambassadors, and they're supposed to be representative of the different off-campus communities, kind of the different apartment blocks and housing communities off campus. It's a minimum of 6. This year we have about 12, I believe, off-campus council ambassadors. We all meet bi-weekly, sometimes weekly, to work on disseminating information. We're split into committees, off-campus COVID Policies Committee, South Bend Community Committee, Marketing Communications Committee, and Community Building Committee. And we just kind of work together to kind of form off-campus council, work on programming, and getting information out to off-campus members as needed. So like Connor alluded to, I'm sure a lot of you guys have never heard of off-campus council before right now. And that's because in the past, they didn't really do a whole lot. Recent years have brought about the distinct qualities of off-campus students, their distinct issues. off-campus exclusion policies that were passed a few years ago on top of COVID have really brought those to light. So OCC's off-campus council's role this year and years going forward will be definitely more prominent in the student union and definitely more important for off-campus students. So we've been trying to kind of widen the role of off-campus council this year, and hopefully off-campus council can be something even bigger and better next year if people like you guys decide to run, or if we get a bigger role in the student union. So pass it off to Rachel for the next slide.
Yeah, I'll just talk about a few things we've done so far. We've worked really closely with this advisory council, upper level administration, meeting with them every week to kind of talk about the concerns of off-campus students. And without them, we wouldn't have been able to put on a lot of our events. We disseminate info regarding off-campus life through our email listserv and our Instagram page. We were able to conduct a survey over winter break to kind of debrief how the semester went, specifically for off-campus students. And we were able to raffle off gift cards for local South Bend restaurants in the process, which was pretty fun. And then some of our plans for this semester include a former dorm reconnection event, an outdoor social, some Zoom contests, and more free coffee handouts and apparel. So I'll show you some pictures of that right now. These were our senior social events with the COVID-19 off-campus task force. We put on 2 senior social events utilizing the practice field to the west of campus to bring off-campus students together and build community safely during the fall semester. There's a lot of really awesome resources provided for us. It was live bands, there were free drink tickets, there was food, bunch of games. So there were 2 of those, one on a game day and one just on a regular Friday, but they were really fun and a really awesome opportunity for off-campus students to kind of run into people, which doesn't happen as often when you don't live on campus. In other collaboration with this advisory council, we worked with Father Pete a lot, who sits on the task force. We were able to hand out free coffee to off-campus students in 2 locations where students tend to walk or drive to campus. And that was a really awesome event, just brightening people's Mondays. We also worked with Father Pete on creating the Fighting Irish campaign, acknowledging the challenge of this semester and giving everyone kind of an opportunity to mourn, submit those words that make up the wordle that you see in front of you, and then hosting an event where people were able to write encouraging words around the struggle to kind of lift each other up.
This is a project that I'm actually quite excited about. But we're looking to do off-campus apparel this semester. To my knowledge, it's never been done before. Apparel is usually reserved for clubs and dorm halls, but we're really trying to build community amongst off-campus students, but also trying to engage with the greater South Bend community. So with this piece of apparel, this hoodie, we're also trying to make a t-shirt. After it gets SEO approval, of course. We're trying to highlight different spots around South Bend, restaurants, go-to places on top of the different off-campus living places, like houses and the apartment complexes. So we're really excited about that too.
Okay, so as always, we're looking ahead to the future. We're all graduating seniors, the 3 of us. So I think we're probably not running for re-election, but we are, hoping for the best in the future of OCC. A big role of what we do here is to kind of bridge the gap between the off-campus students and the South Bend community. We really want that to be a thriving, fruitful relationship. So however we can foster that, we really hope to do that and to continue doing that. Again, we really want to make sure that our off-campus voices are heard in the Senate as much as possible. And not only in the Senate, but in student government at large and in administration decisions at large as well. We think off-campus has its own unique set of issues and concerns, fairly distinct from on-campus life. So we think that voice, because it is a minority of students, yet a huge, number of students, that voice often doesn't get as heard as loud as it should. So we're really hoping that in the future, OCC will have a seat at all relevant tables. And again, we're hoping to create that off-campus community, whether that's the community of off-campus with each other, or that idea again of one Notre Dame, and extending those communities that we build in the dorms and in earlier years, making sure that those experiences like formals, SYR, sports can continue in the most appropriate ways. So thank you so much for your time, everyone, tonight. I would love to hear your questions. And as you see here, feel free to reach out to any of us OCC officers. I'd love to hear questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. That was a really stellar presentation. And we do have a packed agenda, but definitely have time for, 5-10 minutes of questions. And if you've got further questions, really generous of them to share their contact info. So feel free to hit them up offline. But yes, raise your hand if you have a question. Feel more than free. I have a question, guys. Who designed the off-campus apparel? It's super cool.
We have one member of our
Wait, are you going to say Marie Latham?
Yes.
Okay, yes, Marie's in the folk choir. She's fabulous. It looked like her doodling. That's amazing.
She's incredible. She's like just stunning, anything she creates. So yeah,
I'm so glad you guys snapped her up. It is beautiful. Okay, well, now we have an actual question. Sam Canova.
As has been referenced in previous Senate meetings, Notre Dame exists on a fault line. And from what I understand, it's liable at literally any given moment that like a 50-foot long, like wide moat of lava could emerge, like sort of separating campus from off campus. If this were to be the case, and one of you were kept on campus and the others off campus at the time of the rift, how would you save Notre Dame?
I've heard some really good thoughts out of Blake on this one. I'll give this one to Blake.
If I were the one stuck on campus, I would swim through lava to get to you two, so we could we could plan something out. So that's our plan.
Okay.
Connor would build a boat. It's been in the regatta enough times.
Love it, Rachel. Sam Canova, I don't know why I prefaced your question with "now here's a real question," but that was very entertaining and I really appreciated it. All right, any further questions, folks?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
I was hoping you could talk about like the patronage that you described of the South Bend community, like what you're doing already, because you talked about that being a future goal, but I was wondering like what you've put in place thus far.
Yeah, I can talk about that. Like I think Blake talked about, for one of our surveys, we did like a raffle situation. So, we just wanted to hear more feedback. But this gave us a great opportunity to like get some local business going. So we were really intentional about how we picked which businesses we would, provide gift card prizes to. And we ended up giving $1,000 of gift cards in $20 increments out to Rocco's, Purple Porch, and Pegs, because these are all local businesses consistent with the mission of the university. Otherwise, we've had like some game day photo contests and things like that. And the photo that won it is coming to mind. And it was like someone going to a local cafe to start out their game day. If anyone else has other thoughts on that.
Also, in making of the apparel, we've had to ask all of the different businesses on the back for their permission. So Blake's been reaching out to a bunch of local businesses and talking with them, and they've actually gotten really excited about our apparel. A bunch of businesses have asked for a hoodie. So we're starting to build that relationship, and we're hoping this semester we can kind of have some like partnership nights with restaurants and like giving discounts to off-campus students and stuff like that.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, guys. I personally am a big fan of the gift card exchange thing because my boyfriend won one. So thank you guys for the Purple Porch meal. I appreciate it. Okay, you guys are the best. If anyone has questions for them, again, feel free to hit them up offline. But thank you guys so much for the really comprehensive presentation. Sweet. Okay, without further ado, we can move on. And I do believe we have the alliterative Izzy and Ian up next, if one of you guys would like to present your resolution.
Yeah. Do you want me to like talk about it first or read it first and then talk about it, or?
Yeah, it's only about a page. If you want to read it out, Izzy, you can, or if you just want to give a brief presentation, fine too.
I think I'll just talk about it. It's pretty straightforward. But hi everyone, I'm Izzy. I serve as the co-director for student life with Ian, who's also here. I am very familiar with Senate. I served in the lovely Catherine's role 2 years ago, so I'm very familiar with roll call and taking minutes. So I am really excited to present our first resolution for you. Ian, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, but.
Yeah, I can introduce myself. Hi, my name's Ian. I serve with Izzy. I'm a junior, and I think that's all the relevant information you need to know.
Yeah, so our resolution tonight is I forget what it's actually called. A resolution recommending increased student resources and transparency for the university study abroad programs. And this resolution comes out of our department, but it's very important to me because it comes out of some of my experiences studying abroad for 2 months last spring. And I know the experiences of a lot of people who are abroad that I talk to. So just to give you guys a little bit of a background, if you don't know anything about abroad programs, the university has 2 different types of abroad programs. We have global gateway programs and then direct exchange programs, and then some that are kind of in the middle. But the difference is that a global gateway is really just a Notre Dame campus in a different location, whereas a direct exchange means that you are enrolling in a university that has roots in that country. So for example, I studied at Sciences Po in Paris, which is the French Institute of Political Science. And so this resolution is really regarding class registration for students who study abroad. And the process is kind of as follows. So you register before you go abroad, just like we would on campus here for the next semester. And before you go abroad, part of your pre-departure is that you're provided with a huge document of every course that your university that you're enrolling in has ever offered that Notre Dame students have taken and counted for credit. So abroad universities, this is referring specifically to direct exchange programs, because when you're in a global gateway, you're taking Notre Dame classes abroad. But for direct exchange programs, you essentially have to go through a process in which you register the classes that you're taking as Notre Dame classes through basically like an e-form, what you would do to add or drop a class here. So you're provided with this document of all previous courses that are taken, and they give you the attributes that each course kind of undertakes. So for example, there's a class that could be listed as like history of French politics, and that could have been counted as a 3-credit class in the poli-sci department at Notre Dame under a different title. So one of the issues that I'm thinking off campus now, that study abroad students often face is that abroad universities change their course offerings by semester much more often than we do here at Notre Dame. And they don't really release the course offerings until shortly before the registration process begins. And so you might be faced with the challenge of searching for what you need to take for university requirements abroad, which many students do, or major requirements, and you don't know what is going to count for university credit back here at Notre Dame because those classes haven't been registered for Notre Dame credit in the past. So you have to register for a lot of classes that might not automatically count for Notre Dame credit. And you just have to register for things that you think might count based on the requirements that you need to fulfill. And then after about a month, usually takes place in February, you go through the Eforms process, which is basically a request for every class that you're taking. You ask a department to basically take that class in to their department and count it for credit, or count for a university requirement or a major requirement or other types of requirements that you need. And this takes place in February. And then after a month or so, they get back to you and tell you whether or not it will count. So that is about in the middle of March, which is basically 2 months after the semester starts. So after 2 months of taking your classes, you could find out that your class does not count for the credit that you thought that it was going to count for. which is kind of devastating if you really needed to take those credits while you're abroad or you needed them to take them to graduate. So this resolution is basically asking for transparency from the registrar's office and the study abroad office working together in regards to students understanding what counts for what requirements. So for example, we have spoken a lot with the study abroad office about implementing this resolution already, and they're very excited about it because they also agree that academic transparency is very important. So they suggested potential to compile a universal document that explains, for example, how many credit hours you need for a certain requirement, what amount of writing you need to do, what types of books, what type of homework, etc., or potentially compiling a sample syllabus for each type of requirement so that you at least have some sort of understanding of the things that you would potentially need in a class. This doesn't necessarily guarantee that you will get the credit in the end, but it will increase the likelihood that you will choose a class that meets the requirement that you need. And then there's a little addendum also in the resolution about grading systems, because, for example, my program that I was at in Paris, French universities grade on a scale of 1 to 20, but it isn't necessarily like sort of transitive based on like a 97% is an or 93% is an A. In France, a 14 is an A out of 20, but no one can ever get higher than a 16. So it's very confusing. And so the little addendum at the end is just to ask for transparency before you go abroad to understand what grades do I need to get in my program's grading system to know what grades I'm going to get through Notre Dame. So that's kind of a summary of the resolution. I think that kind of covers it unless you want me to read it out loud. But if anyone has any questions for Ian or I, please let us know. We'd love to hear them. Otherwise, yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Izzy. Great work to both of you guys on this. And yeah, let's open it up for questions. If anyone has them, just use the hand raise feature and I'll call on you. Natalie.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So you mentioned how the way the Eform process works is like you apply in February, then like in March. How does that apply to students going abroad in the fall?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So it's I went on the run in the spring. So it's essentially the same, like approximately a month after you go abroad. So for example, if you leave in August, you'd get the e-form in September and then you would find back out in October. But sometimes also the committees won't get back to you until the end of the semester. So most of the time you find out all of it in what would be October or March, but often the times you wouldn't find out until the end of the semester as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sweet, great clarifying question. Any other hands? All right, anyone want a motion to end questioning and move to debate?
Motion to end questioning and move to debate.
Second.
Awesome, we'll vote on that. You guys remember little green check marks for yes, red X's, no. Okay, sweet, there we have it. We've now entered into debate. Would anyone like to raise a point of debate on this resolution? Yeah, Patrick Lee.
I just wanted to say something shortly in favor of the resolution. I am fortunate enough to be on the Department of Student Life, and I get to work with Ian and Izzy and all the other good people that we have. And it's all the stuff that we have is really well researched and well thought out. So not as this were super contentious, but just as a word of support.
Thanks so much, Patrick. Really appreciate that. I can also take off my impartial chairperson hat and say that I would have really appreciated this when I was in Santiago, because same process. And so having something transparent like this would have been awesome. So that is me as a student, but my hat is back on. All right, further points of debate.
Motion to end debate and move to a vote.
Second.
Okay, again, let's vote on that. Okay, beautiful. We are now in a vote. I'm going to clear them all, and you now can vote in favor or against. I will read the official title, folks. SS 2021-22, which is a resolution recommending increased student resources and transparency for the university's study abroad programs. All right, and there we have it. Congrats, Ian and Izzy. It is unanimous. Thank you guys so much for your work, and looking forward to seeing your conversation with NDI go to even greater heights because of this.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Wonderful. Okay, thank you all for your participation in that. Really excited to see that moving forward. And we can now move to SS 2021-23, which is a resolution calling for a greater emphasis on student mental health. And I would like to invite Patrick, Lainey, or Grace to present on this one.
Yeah, I can do it. So should I read the whole thing or just give like a summary?
Whatever you're most comfortable with, Lainey.
Okay, I can just give a summary because it is kind of long. So it just talks about how the campus compact has kind of affected student mental health and all the issues and like the statistics from last semester, and then some studies that show how like COVID is kind of exacerbating mental health problems. And then our result is just to ask the university for more transparency in their communication on mental health, and then also for socialization purposes to keep like La Fun open longer, because I think it closes at midnight right now. And so to keep that open later so students can socialize. And then also we did put in the pass no credit option for classes too, which was a petition last semester, just because we think that could also help relieve a lot of academic stress that I think is affecting students' mental health.
All right, thanks so much for that, Lainey. I'll now open the floor to any questions folks may have, and they can be directed at Lainey, Patrick, or Grace. Just use the raise hand feature if you're curious about anything at all. Yeah, Ben.
Just kind of a general question looking through. Great job, by the way, guys. There's a lot of good stuff in here. You're covering a lot of different bases, which I think it's all very important. Have you spoken with anybody directly about some of these ideas? Like, for instance, have you spoken with anyone who manages university operations about, expanding the student center hours, or just in general, any of the 5 points that you have? Have you spoken with any university leadership on any of those topics? Just curious.
Yeah, I can speak to one of those points. I serve on the emotional support and well-being working group with Dean Carlson, and one of our main focuses for this semester actually is going to be communication and how the university can enhance communication to students. And so that idea really stemmed from her and from that working group. So I would say that there is some university leadership consensus that there's some improvement to be made on how we communicate about mental health here. In terms of the buildings, we've also had discussions about that, but nothing really like unanimous to the point where it's gotten to more logistics of which buildings and when, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Grace.
All right, any further questions, folks?
Motion to end questioning and move to debate.
Second.
All right, great. Can we have a vote on that? Okay, beautiful. We've now entered into debate. I'll clear those. And would anyone like to raise a point of debate?
Motion to end debate and move to a vote.
Second.
Okay, we can vote on that. Okay, fabulous. We can now enter into a vote. And again, I'll just clear those green check marks and allow you to vote yes or no. Okay, beautiful. There we have it. Another unanimous approval for SS 2021-23. Really great work, guys, on this resolution, and looking forward to see how you endeavor to implement it on a number of levels. Really appreciate it. All right, moving right along, we now have SS 2021-24, which is a resolution requesting a change in quarantine protocols for COVID-19 vaccinated students at the University of Notre Dame. And Maggie Allen, if you'd like to take the lead on that one, feel free to go right ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm just gonna kind of provide a summary for this. I don't think I need to read it verbatim. So this is just asking for an amendment to the current quarantine protocols that we currently have. The CDC published, I believe, last week on the 10th that if you're fully vaccinated, so that's over 2 weeks of the last dose within 3 months of the whole series, and you don't have any symptoms, that there's no need for you to quarantine if you are exposed to a potential or a confirmed case of COVID-19. So that's what this kind of entails here. At Notre Dame, we do base most of our COVID-19 guidelines off of the CDC, so that's why we can kind of follow along with this process as well. And we do often change our protocols based on what the CDC says, as we saw last semester going into this semester as well. So I believe that it's perfectly appropriate. And I know that they actually did say that they were going to implement this policy as of late last night, actually. So it is a little right after the bat on there. But I talked to a few senators, and we're still gonna kind of present this just to show student support for that policy and watch for that policy to be enacted if it's not already. So that is the main gist of it. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Awesome. Thanks for your transparency on that, Maggie. And it's very exciting to see that last night, and you were just ahead of the game. So good deal. All right. Any questions? Yes, no, maybe so.
Motion to end questioning, move to debate.
Second.
All right, we can vote on that. Okay, excellent. We are now in debate. Would anyone like to raise a point of debate?
Motion to end debate and move to a vote.
Second.
Okay, we can vote on that. Okay, fabulous. We've now entered into a vote on SS 2021-24. Okay, fabulous. It looks like it is the night of unanimity, which is a good thing, I guess. But very exciting to see that this has student support, Maggie. Looking forward to seeing this actually be implemented with the weight of the students behind it. So really exciting stuff. Always good to follow the CDC. Sweet. Okay, so that was all of our general orders. In new business, we have a resolution coming out of our Department of Academic Affairs, and actually a Fueler as the primary author of this. So exciting to see some first years really get into legislation. That will be a resolution advocating the endurance importance of diversity of all forms in the academic colleges at the University of Notre Dame. And Thomas Davis has informed me that we are also going to have an order to appoint an acting senator of Carroll Hall. So that should be an exciting time. And does anybody have an announcement that they'd like to bring to the table? Yes, Miles Kelly. Oh, I think it's going to be Day of Man. I'm excited. Go ahead, Miles.
Yeah, so it is Day of Man, but today's email kind of threw some things into uncertainty. So basically, Day of Man was planned for Tuesday, which was going to be February 23rd, and we couldn't do cash collections. So we were going to do a combination of like card readers and use the tiny URL we have and some other stuff too. Now we're not really sure how it's going to take shape. I'd say like keep your eyes and ears open. I'd say like Friday is when we'll know if either it's happening on the same day, just in an abridged version, or whether we're going to try and hold out until after March 1st. Regardless, the link is open now to donate. I'm going to just drop that in the chat. But you can donate to the South Bend Center for the Homeless via this and via our fundraiser still. And it's really important just because I even learned today, they have had no volunteers since March. they've had to cut so many things. All of their fundraisers with like businesses just haven't happened. So they are hurting so much right now. And so anything is appreciated. But I'll keep you updated on when that happens. And again, Friday or Saturday, there will be a better idea of how it'll take shape.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Miles, for keeping us up to date on that. Definitely hope it's a success. Oh, there's that URL. Fantastic. And we can support the Men of Siegfried and support the South Bend Center for the Homeless. Thanks so much. We got another hand from Thomas Davis.
Hello, everyone. I'm sure you have an idea about what I'm going to say. But just to clarify, I've had some questions about endorsements, all seeming to be about the same thing. As enumerated positions, you may follow campaign accounts, and that's it. You may not like, well, I'm not telling you what you can and cannot do, but constitutionally, please don't like anything. Please don't repost anything. Please don't share anything. You may use that account to discern your own private vote. But any sort of action that may signal endorsing or liking or doing anything, sharing ideas of a platform or of a ticket itself, will get you in trouble with the Ethics Commission. But you may follow them because it's important as senators to be updated about what's going on. I also ask that during your virtual hall councils this week that you remind your constituents that it is election season. Number one, the debate is on Monday. And number two, voting day, election day is Wednesday, a week from today. That's all you have to say. Just encourage them to vote. Please don't say anything that may sound like you're encouraging them to vote for one ticket or two tickets or three tickets or no tickets at all. Just please encourage them to vote. Also, please go to your hall councils and make them aware of the referendum that will be on the ballot, because I fear that lots of people will see this referendum and not know what to do. Judicial Council will be sending out information campus-wide, but it would be very helpful if you could please let them know about that ahead of time. You can even give them your thoughts on that too. Like they're complete, like endorsements, all that stuff that I have to yell at you about does not apply to the referendum, just to be clear on that. The only, nitty-gritty stuff that only applies to candidates themselves. Number three, campus compact. I talked about this a little bit throughout in terms of eligibility. I had a very nice meeting with Ms. Hoffman Harding regarding your eligibility if you violate the campus compact. I don't mean to scare you, but just please be strong student leaders and make sure that everything you do is embodying the campus compact and embodying the mission and spirit of Notre Dame during this time, because that's what you're supposed to do as student leaders. I know I struggle with it too, and I'm supposed to be the chief ethical officer of the student union. That's tough. So please understand it's difficult, but as student leaders, please try your best to do that. It's very wishy-washy with the implementations of that policy on eligibility. Just stay clear of it if you can. And please, I'm sorry, I'm super bogged down and busy with a lot of things going on, but if you do have any questions about anything going on, anything Judicial Council related, please continue to send me those emails. I'm kind of on a 24-hour response rate, but I promise I'll get back. And if I don't, please bug me and I'll get back to you. But thank you.
Thomas Davis, can I ask you a follow-up question?
Yes, Sarah.
Can you tell people how they're going to be able to watch the debate?
Oh, huge. Well, I'm not sure based on the wrench that we were thrown today, but originally the plan for the debate was very exciting. We partnered with Notre Dame TV. We were going to have it filmed live as a town hall Q&A format up in the second floor of the Duncan Student Center. All three tickets, which have been announced, are posted outside the StuGov office, also posted in the Observer. All three tickets would have an equal, probably about 20 minutes of time to speak. We'll have questions directly from the student body. That form to submit questions, which you may do as senators. I just ask that you click, please submit anonymously on that form. That's available on the J Council website. We'll be pulling questions from that, and that will be streamed live. It was supposed to be streamed live to all the TVs in Duncan and LaFun, and also on NDTV if you have access to that. We're also trying to get a live stream to go out. With the new rules, I'd love to talk to Karen after this to kind of figure that out. We're hoping that can still be a possibility because I think it's very important for the student body. But that's very exciting. We're doing this all to kind of accommodate for social distancing, microphone exchanges, all that stuff that goes on during the debate, just to simplify it so that each candidate can have, or each ticket can have 20 minutes of their own time to speak directly to the student body. That's really important. There's an awesome letter to the editor in the Observer today from myself and David, hopefully reminding you all to make sure as senators to kind of bridge the chasm that we have between students and the candidates right now, because it's going to be a social media campaign. I mentioned this. That's just the reality of the situation we're in. And we hope that you can get your student body members involved in it as much as you can without swaying them one way or the other. But we're trying our best on Judicial Council side to reach out. I think the debate is going to be super exciting. It's not really a debate, it's a town hall. Submit questions, remind your constituents. That'd be super great. Thank you.
Sweet. I just wanted you to get to brag about the debate because I think it'll be cool. I hope it still comes to fruition, but we shall see. Okay, did I see a hand from Connor Delaney?
Yeah, I was just going to ask if we could publicly state our position on the referendum, but Thomas, you answered it. Sounds like that's a yes. So thank you.
Fabulous. Appreciate that clarity. I also see Michael Murakami's hands, and can I predict what's going on?
I think you can.
All right, go for it.
Motion to adjourn.
Let's vote on that, and then you can all leave.
The virtual Acoustic Cafe link.
Oh, yes. Fabulous. Thank you, Marie.
All right, Michael. Okay, give me 1 second. There's virtual
Sorry,
Acoustic Cafe, 9 p.m. on Thursday, and we're ahead of the game. It's already virtual, so there's no reason not to watch it. And also just watch out on the sub social media. We're trying to transition our movie screenings virtual. The Joy Luck Club was going to be in collaboration with the Chinese Culture Society this weekend. So, if that happens, just keep your eyes peeled, but Acoustic Cafe will still be virtual on 9. Okay, continue, my bad.
Love it. Sub, always ahead of the game. I heard your second, Michael, so all we have to do is get those green check marks, and then you're all free to go and enjoy the rest of your Ash Wednesday. Okay, sweet. You all are free. So good to see you. Thank you so much, Sam Canova. Appreciate it.